Hello, everybody. It's Mike, and welcome back to Witchcraft in Gray. I'll talk about that later. Anyway, today we're going to talk about energy, the internal energy within the person, the energy that is also synchronistic with all of the elements around us, with spirits, and with all allied energies that seek to help and to guide the witch. But first, let's come to acknowledge the primary source of energy. Primary source of energy is within. Remember, there is one saying in the occult, and that is, if that which you seek you first cannot find within yourself, you will never be able to find it without. Look it up, and it also comes with a very interesting philosophy with magic as well. There's a lot of things that I will be talking about, and I'm going to recommend that you read, but I am not going to provide sources, or I should say I'm not going to provide material. I just rather would like you to point toward the sources. As witches, we are people who thrive on knowledge. Knowledge is what we know, and wisdom is how we use it. Yes, and at the same time, craft and wisdom. Witchcraft. Which is the wise. Craft is what we do. And you're going to notice that there are many times that the two of them go together. Very synchronistic. And sometimes when you see and get to recognize energy that other people in the world are using, you get to see they are very good at spreading around their craft, but they really don't do so much when it comes to being the wise. But as workers of the craft, as people who are wise, we sort of hold a responsibility to everything that we do. Okay, I'm going to correct myself. We hold, or we are held to a responsibility of everything we do. And as you learn more about energy, you'll learn about things such as phrases that one should avoid, and perhaps certain acts. And then later on, certain acts and superstitions that some magicians, energy workers, witches have clung to in order to keep our lives on a particular path. The greatest thing to know is that energy is something that is not without us. Everything we have within. We are energy human beings, and after our avatar, after our vessel passes away from the earth, the energy will still remain. This was also summarized by Dr. Albert Einstein. Once again, to prove that witchcraft is more than just a belief, it actually incorporates quite a bit of science. Or to put it fairly, the sciences were from a long time ago, and then they got incorporated into the modern they got incorporated to modern science. Flipping here. Alchemy became known as chemistry, and of course ancient herbology became known as magic. Not magic, but became known as medicine. So everything that was once has now come into being under a new name. And we can choose to use the ancient, we can choose to the new, and we'll get into that at a different time. Now, energy working opens up a very wide bridge and somewhat of a risky and potentially dangerous bridge for the witch. Knowing the energy that dwells within oneself, you get to understand the abilities that one has. First of all, let me put out a fact that as a practicing witch, you do not have to practice magic. It's not necessary. There are many witches who don't choose to practice magic. There are many witches whose craft has been herbology. Some of them, witches have chose to make arts and crafts. I've known quite a bit of witches and into kitchen witchery itself. A lot of witches that are into making brews, that are into making liquors, and they really have no interest in energy magic of itself. Or some of them don't. Some of them do. That's the way it is. But when we talk about energy, we talk about the energy within ourselves. And this is kind of a touchy subject, because the energy that is within us is very strong. It's very powerful. Do we have control over it? Yes, we do. We have some bit of a control. But as you learn more about raising the energy that lives within you, you're going to learn that there are certain parts of the body, and in particular the mind, that channels the energy out. And if there are any particular issues, which the instrument, will refer to the instrument as the person, the body. If there are any particular issues, and particularly mental issues that an individual has, sometimes that can strain, or it can modify how the energy comes out. Therefore, does that make you a prisoner? No, it doesn't, but I recommend using a very basic set of energies, such as healing and inner knowledge of oneself, before you start projecting out to others and for your own good. So, as we start out on this topic, to learn the energy which lies within, it is to look forward into life and to be able to breathe and harmonize with the earth around you, with the trees, with the sun, with the feeling of all things. There is no season which is an enemy to the witch. It is all within us. And the energies and the power that is within the earth is also parallel with the witch, worked through the instrument, and the instrument grows and changes over a period of time. And as you learn to work your energies, your mind is no longer trapped. Kind of start out magic and energy with the thought or the idea that, oh, I did something. Wow, how come I can't do it again? That's because inside we kind of have an inner doubt, or we have a, wow, I couldn't believe I do this. I can't believe it. Well, that's when some little Yoda proverbs should be said to you, and or you should remember them, and that would help you out. And I'm sure you know which ones they are. Anyway, so learning the energy that comes within, we can go down different exercises and different visualizations. Some people use the chakras, the energy points of the body. Now, depending upon which system you learn the chakras from, you can go from 7 chakras to an infinite number of chakras if you start learning the Hindu teachings. But I'm not going to try to confuse the subject anymore. Exercises of the Kundalini, channeling what is the heavenly energies to come through the body and to light up all the chakra points. It's very powerful, and it's very beautiful. It does rely upon the cosmos. There are some people who have started learning magic and witchcraft, and they started learning also the Kabbalah, and they have found that more of their path, and that's a wonderful thing. So learning the energy and learn where it comes from within, first let it better your life. Start doing relaxations. feeling the energy pour through you and making you feel better, making all of the blockages and some of the hesitations in your life pass out and pass through. And then as you learn to raise it, and as you learn to harness that energy that lies within, it will start to bring self-confidence. It will start to bring more about self-realization. And it also may open up and give you a little bit of darkness. A darkness that kind of permeates through the body and kind of starves you of light until you see within yourself a bright light, a way to go. And this is the beginning of self-realization. All of this starts with learning energy. And all of these processes I talked about do not follow in a chronological order, but rather they kind of come in as at any time that they will. It's just kind of way the universe is. There's many things to explain when it comes to that. And a lot of it has to do with a person's personal bloodline, person's personal heritage, where they come from, or as the Norse call it, the folk soul. Those who believe very hard in fate believe that there are a lot of lessons that were passed down from the ancestors that also come to us in this time. Sort of like a quantum leap of souls and lessons that came down from generations, from the ancestors that are here to help us through this life. So we're surrounded by many philosophies and we're surrounded by many practices. And I encourage each and every one of you to purchase books, a lot of them at your bookstores now, or to go online. See what kind of fancies you. There is not one book that I would recommend to anybody out there. You just sort of have to pine through, look them through, and see what works best for you. In your path of magic, in your path of the craft, you're going to be tempted to look into very many different things. Many things are going to fascinate you. And I can't tell you that there's one that you should go to, and I can't tell you there's one you should stay away from. I would say listen to the inner self. If the inner self says, this is what I need, then go with it. If the inner self says, I'm not exactly sure about this and it doesn't ring true to me, then avoid the book. It's just that simple. Maybe at another date that book will say something or feel something to you. But at that time, if you feel that you should not do it, then don't. I would like to thank everybody again for listening to Witchcraft in Gray. I would like to say that if there's anything you've learned, then please subscribe and like. Any comments, that would also be great as well. And next time, we are going to talk a little bit more about the subject of magic. But as I said, it's one we approach very delicately. Anyway, I'm Mike, and thank you for listening. Blessed be.